today about how to become a successful financial advisor and how you can use the lessons of becoming a successful financial advisor in just about any industry and field and have success there as well. So with us today is Scott Danner. Now, he's actually the CEO of Freedom Street Partners, a practice that supports financial advisors in their next career step and helps them explore all available paths to secure a fulfilling future. Now, after 15 years practicing on an employee platform, Scott founded Freedom Street and took it from 0 to 2 billion in assets under management in just 5 years. Now, Scott is the co-founder of the Chesapeake Virginia Wine Festival and enjoys traveling the country with his wife to watch their two sons play soccer as well. Scott, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ty. It's always fun to listen to your bio and be summed up in such a cool way. Thank you so much for giving me the intro that you did.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, 2 billion under management in 5 years. Any secrets you want to share?
Well, I think ultimately the secret is building on a strong foundation. So after 15 years in an employee channel as a financial advisor, I started from scratch and I didn't have family with money. We didn't have anybody that was surrounding us. So everything was a learning experience for me and just really deep diving into everything I could possibly learn. And so when I launched out and started the independent brand Freedom Street Partners, it was about building and attracting not only the clients we had been serving for all those years, but like-minded advisors. And so, the other thing is we purchased practices. And so the average age of a financial advisor is not my age, which means the average age of an advisor is 62 years old. And there are more 80-year-olds in this industry than there are 30-year-olds. And that's a really, really interesting thing. So most people's financial advisors are over the age of 60. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually awesome. The wisdom and experience and data that someone's achieved over their lifetime is amazing. But most advisors don't have a step down plan or a succession plan or a continuity plan of any kind. Actually, a lot of business owners have this same problem. So we know that. But to give you the secret is, creating a culture where people want to be a part of it, something bigger than themselves, and then finding like-minded practices, especially in those areas where someone's looking to merge or create that continuity plan that helped us grow at a pretty rapid rate.
So do you do a lot with acquisitions?
Yeah,
do you do roll-ups where you look at other financial advisor firms and then, bring them under your umbrella?
Yeah, 100%. We do both. We do the roll-ups where we'll bring them in and they tap into our platform. So, what kept me from going out on my own for 15 years, right? I was on an employee channel. You obviously give up 40 of your revenue to the channel, but they do an immense amount of work for you. And I'm extremely grateful for all the training and experience I got there. But eventually, when I set this up with the new entity, it was about figuring out what were all the things that were missing in the link, in the connection point. If I were going to start something on my own and I was nervous about it, what was I nervous about? What were the fears and how were they rational or irrational? And so by building up the scale of a platform that allowed people to not only tap in to make their business and their clients serve better. So we help with the investment management platform. We do the compliance for advisors. We handle the marketing and branding and consult and coach on their platforms. We help train all their individual employees and our employees that co-work with each other. And then we also acquire, to your first question, is we acquired a practice in Charlotte, North Carolina, a market that we wanted to get into. Awesome, booming, young, up and coming market. And we purchase a practice and then bring in 4 new financial advisors in that market that all help to grow the brand and develop it. And we're still growing in and around that market. We added a new advisor just this past year outside of Charlotte in a small area, Monroe. So it's all part of the growth strategy to continue to develop something a little bit bigger than ourselves so we can serve more people and help more of the clients that we've been serving for all those years.
How do you kind of define and decide on a practice that you may want to roll up or acquire?
That's a great question. Ultimately, I'm looking at it from a lot of different avenues. On it, the most important avenue to look at it is from the human side, the life side. I'm looking for like-minded individuals. I've been doing this for 2 decades. And at this point in time in my career, I only want to work with people I like, know, and trust. And so when we're looking at these relationships, we're looking for people that have built very similar practices. So I'll give you an example. One of the advisors we met, we were 35 companies were bidding for his sale of his practice. And we get into the bottom, say 5 people, and he comes in and we do a face-to-face interview with our team and we're talking to him. And I said, tell me about a typical client appointment. And the first thing he says is, this guy was 79 years old. And the first thing he says is, Scott, the first thing I do is we talk about life. We talk about the Yankees. We talk about, the football game from the weekend. We learn about their family. And I find that when we're focused on someone's life, we can really get to the meat of how to help them financially, completely aligned with everything we believe in our culture. At that point in time, it's a no-brainer. Now it's time to put on the full court press to make sure they know we're a good fit. And as we earned that business, they had done the exact same thing. And it turned out to be a great connectivity point. So I think the type of business, our industry has changed from one of transactions for many, many years, where it was a sales organization. It was something that was, the groups were the old, when I started, it was brokers and investment representatives. And today it's all about planning and service and, really deep diving someone's life planning, not just their financial planning. And I think the whole way the industry has shifted has been a benefit for advisors that were maybe a little faster to be flexible. And so we're looking for those advisors, whether they're 80, 50 or 25, those are the people that we're looking for, people that are flexible and know how to pivot and continue to grow a practice in a timeline that's going to change.
Whatever got you into acquiring and roll-ups to begin with?
So I think when I was at the previous company, I was in a ton of leadership roles. I was in charge of recruiting and probably recruited close to 100 people and brought in people into the industry. So I knew the benefits of this industry, and I had helped then coach and consult with many of them. The truth is, I really wanted to take that experience, that leadership. As I left, I was in charge of, performance for all of the advisors in a particular region. And it was, on average, $7 to $12 billion AUM type of region, assets under management. And so I had been working with all these top performers and great advisors. And I just felt like we could if we just tweaked the message in the industry a little bit, and we focused a little more on life, a little more on culture, a little more on the things a small business can do, we could really attract the right kind of model and the right kind of advisors. And that's really where the idea took. And the second part was, look, we have a major wave of retirees, 62 years old being the average age of a successful advisor. I'm 43 years old. I'm doing this 20 years. I started at 23. I'm 43. So I had the benefit of having worked with so many advisors that were bridging the gap between that old school practice that needed to be revitalized and built towards better regulation and more things that were changing. And I also understood the people that were coming in now and new, because the industry had altered and changed so much. So I just wanted to make a difference in our industry and build something bigger than myself.
Well, what's it like nowadays to become a financial advisor? Like, what's the process like to become one? And, what's the difficulty of the actual profession itself?
I think it's a really open model in that there's a lot of channels someone can go. So the quick and dirty version for the listeners is this: you can go and you can join a wirehouse or a big bank company or someone associated, and they're gonna teach you sales tactics. They're gonna teach you how to really understand, the products and the processes, and they have scale and they have models and they have unbelievable training. They're going to teach you how to help your clients on a deep level as well, but they're really going to give you some other spectrums, and you're going to have to usually you hunt and bring in what you bring in. And if you fail, you fail on a lot of those models. The way that we bring in new financial advisors today is we use what we call a client relationship manager or CRM position. And they're really, they come in and they're going to go into almost like I'm losing the word. The word I'm looking for is basically it's not an internship, but it's really just an awareness where they're going to come in and spend the first 5 years or so learning the craft, working directly with somebody. I care a lot less about how good you can look at a particular thing. I care about how you plan, how you understand the client's concerns. When they're saying something to you, are you listening for the deeper things that are going to make a difference in their lives? What are the very things they've said on paper, and how are we helping them to achieve them? The things that honestly take a little bit more time than sinking or swimming in a year or two. And so while I appreciate all different levels of coming in, most of the advisors we bring in today are certified financial planners. They've gone through training at school, and they're very good. I also find that people that have experience outside of this industry do really well. So people that are looking at the human connection. It's like any business. It's all about relationships. So if you're a master at building relationships, it's a really great career to be in.
Yeah, it's so applicable skill set if you're good with people and you genuinely have empathy and care about, what it is that they care about. So how does it work to manage multiple different offices under one umbrella? Do they keep their own branding? Do you let them keep their own culture? How do you kind of control all of that, especially since these offices you're talking about oftentimes aren't right in your backyard?
Yeah. So we have offices in 7 states currently. So we're all through the Southeast. And we have an office in Illinois as well. Phenomenal advisor out in that market, who we've really helped build. He's a great story because when he came on with us, he was overwhelmed. A lot of the regulations and the things that were hitting him were not hitting him in a bad way, meaning that a lot of the changes that were happening in the industry were causing him to make major structural changes in his practice, and he wasn't prepared for it. He didn't feel like he had the support for it. So by connecting with us, we actually went in and helped him develop systems and processes that he tapped into. And he has literally not only quadrupled his production, but his value of his own practice, of which we are also an owner in. And so now together we've created this phenomenal model. And so he gets to run the practice, to your point, with the principles and core values that he's always done. He's been a phenomenal advisor for years. He was lacking a couple of things that were resource driven. And together with our support, we work better together now. So I don't have to go into that market and tell him specifically what to do and how to do it. Honestly, I find the right, great people already doing great things and help them develop. Some of our brands have kept their models. We have a company that's been around with the brand for 30 plus years, and they've got quite a great reputation in their Georgia market where they're at. And so, do they tap into everything we use? Absolutely. And we help them develop in other areas. I do a lot of consulting and coaching with their team, development on their practice and marketing and branding. So the truth is, as a CEO of our company, it's probably not unlike most CEOs. My job is to really support the branches and all the teams that work with us, as well as create the best possible team I can in our home office to better serve us, them, and connect the dots between me and them and in our leadership.
You mentioned earlier that one of the companies you acquired had like 35 people that were bidding on it. How do you win something like that? I mean, how do you become the obvious choice that they end up going with?
I think you find the mutual benefit for the client first. So there's always going to be a couple of things. You got to lead with the clients. Looking differently doesn't hurt. So being 20 to 30 years younger than the average person that's bidding on a practice, the funny thing is, of the 30 people that were bidding on that practice, most of them were within 5 to 10 years of his age, and he was 79 years old. So to put that in perspective, that was a big differentiator. And so when you're talking to, I remember as a young financial advisor, people would say, I already have somebody. And I'd say, great. I hope he's phenomenal or she's phenomenal, but I'm going to be around a long time. And I'd love the opportunity to earn your business when you're ready. And it was amazing how many people would come to us because of that age. The discrepancy in the beginning of our career that was difficult is now something that's quite a value add. The next thing is always making sure that you have a system or process for what their clients are going to go through. So, it's like any acquisition, Ty, when you go in and you purchase a business of any kind, the business owner feels clarity and sees clarity when you can provide exactly what their clients are going to go through in this transition. Most of the people that bid on these businesses tend to say, oh, well, me and Judy run a 2-person practice, and Judy's been my right-hand person for all these years, and we have a phenomenal practice, and we're going to do great with your clients. And then the question is, okay, what does that look like? Well, we've got lots of things that we do, but there's no written down SOPs. There's systems and processes we've created. There's formulas, and really, we've created something that's a blueprint so someone knows exactly what they're going to get when they transition. And I think helping to make it easy for them, helping to make sure that we're respecting and honoring the relationship and the clients into the future so that their clients are taken care of and they know what that looks like, along with the benefit of being maybe a little younger than the average group that's out there. It doesn't hurt. And I think that's how we have earned practices like that in the past.
When you talk about the advisors, and I imagine you probably have quite a few that you guys manage, what are some of the things that you found there really help them come out of school where they have the knowledge, but actually be able to apply that where they can really be successful in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's always amazing to me how many people have the knowledge and experience in a craft, but don't know how to use it. And what I mean by that is they come out and they're the smartest kid out of the best university, and they're so amazing on paper, but it's all on paper. You have to actually start to apply that with real humans. You have to explain and talk to people in ways that simplify it so everybody understands at any level of education. There's all kinds of different humans you're going to work with, and you want to make sure that if you're one of the people that comes from one of these amazing universities with the best ever, that you can talk to John Smith, who runs X company and is just looking for you to simplify his financial picture and his financial life and give him the best decisions to make into the future. And so I found it to be very valuable, just helping people learn how to connect better. If you can listen first, people really don't care what you know until they actually know that you care enough about them to learn their story, to learn the whole process of which we're going to work. And I think that's in our company, we always say our tagline is life wealth optimization. And the truth is, I say probably 27 times a day, hey, life comes first. Remember that. So even when a client calls and they start talking right about the portfolio or right about a problem, the first thing I'll say is, Ty, tell me what's going on in your life. How are your kids? Where'd you just travel to? What's going on in the world? Like, catch me up first. Has anything changed in your life that I should be aware of? Let me ask the curious questions about life. Then we get to the meat that you want to get into. And I feel like we can better serve people that way, which means we're teaching them how to better connect. That's the disconnect.
Yeah, it's interesting because I read a book called The Perfect Plan, and it speaks to this point. It says 6% of factual information is even retained, but 100% of how the person feels in that moment is retained. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's all about how they feel. And it's not about, all the knowledge that you have, because they're only going to retain probably a small fraction of what you say. Anyways, they just want to feel like they're in good hands with somebody that genuinely has their best interest at heart.
Yeah, it's amazing how people, when you listen to them and they feel heard, how much that makes them feel so much better about a relationship. And I think today, you and I chatted prior to this a little bit about our kids and the Xbox and how they can connect with people all over the place. But that human interaction and connection one-on-one is something that really is exceptional. And if you can help connect those dots and help people feel better about anything they're doing, they're going to feel more trust. They're going to feel more connection. They're going to feel more comfortable. And that's really what you want to do, especially if you have a long-term plan. If you're focusing on a long-term vision, the only way to get through a long-term vision is to actually know there's bumps on the road, but you have to feel comfortable with the person or trust the person that you're working with to get there and help you get there. And so building that trust, rapport, and connection is life-changing.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about, that using that as a differentiator between other advisors out there. How did advisors initially get clients? Like, what are you doing nowadays to be able to teach somebody that's coming in new, like what they should be out there doing to be able to even start those conversations initially?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because when I was brand new in my 20s, I literally did everything you can think of. I mean, I knocked on doors to introduce myself in neighborhoods around my office. I cold called. I mean, I would dial and smile and just hope that we got somebody on the line. And that was how a lot of the wirehouses taught the old school ways, right? Then the do not call list came out and all these things changed. And the reality is, I believe in investing in a community and the community will invest in your business. So one of the things we teach is get involved, get engaged in the community. We're not looking for any advisors that don't want to create a better world around them. And so the very first thing is most of the advisors that we hire have a presence in their community. And so we're going to teach them ways to get out and just be a resource for their friends, their counterparts, people they're working with. And that's always been an important part of developing that. The second thing is, our business is a fairly good sized business. We have a lot of clients that we service. Having deeper relationships with all those clients takes a team. And so I can't tell you how many times my team has discovered or found things through ancillary conversations with our clients that allow us to deeply serve those clients in a better way. And so we're teaching them that we're better together as a team, that they don't have to be the only resource. That, I built 20 years building a business and being in the community and doing stuff to help make our business grow. You don't need to be me overnight. We need to be better together. I need help. I need you to help build this with us. And I think those are some of the things that are really valuable to any of us in any business, period.
What about social media? How are you guys smartly using social media nowadays?
So, I use it quite a bit. I launched our book Freedom Street in September. And I've probably done 20, 25 of these podcasts, which has been awesome. And we also have a YouTube channel we just launched. And so we do a ton of conversations about money. We do conversations about topics around the table. I spend a lot of time talking about all the things that have nothing to do with money, but everything to do about money. You'll find that most people that are chasing money never catch it. And when money is their God or their rich life that they're searching for revolves around money, it's often empty. And so we spend a lot of time teaching and using our platform to develop those types of mentalities and attract people that are interested in that messaging. I also think it's important to provide perspective on financial health and doing the right things early. So anything we could do on social media to get that word out. So we leverage it quite a bit, and we're building and developing it. Quite frankly, our industry is archaic in the ability to really utilize it to the full degree of what social media was designed to do. And so there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, very tough structure into how and what you can talk about. And so I think we're pioneers in that space, and we're doing the best that we can to continue to develop that strategy. But hopefully we could do even more in the next chapter.
That's really cool. Well, what do you think is the next chapter? What do you think the future? Where's your industry going right now?
I think that's an awesome question. I love where our industry is going because I love what AI is doing. But I love AI as amplified intelligence, not artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is amazing, but amplified is when you take the human mind and the humanness and work with AI to create even better opportunities. I love the fact that we have, I've recently been doing some things in the virtual space, with virtual reality and some of the things that are happening there. There's so many things that are going to happen. You and I talked about this earlier. People today, children today, are coming out in some ways more educated. They're educated as entrepreneurs. They're not educated formally. In fact, formal education is garbage for the most part. Like, it's way worse than it ever was. But their individual curiosity is there. And what we're seeing is they're learning more and more about money. They're learning more and more ways to be successful, and they're trying more and more things. And I think that if we can tap into that, our industry is going to really be a great resource. If our industry thinks that we're going to do all the same old things that they did 30, 40 years ago, it's not going to work. It's going to die. That part of the industry will be dying. But the pivoting that's happening in our industry is really exciting. And I'm most grateful for the clients that we serve, because it's going to only better help people accomplish their goals, dreams, and opportunities.
What do you think about where we are right now? I mean, record high inflation, gas prices all times high. Obviously every sign indicates, an impending recession around the corner. What's the state of confidence of your clients right now, and what should they be wary of? What should they be paying attention to?
I think being aware of everything that's going on is extremely valuable. One of the traps we get into in our lives, especially, I always say it's important to not be the Scrooge. And what I mean by that is the people that look at their statements every single day and evaluate and count the money all the time and look at it go up and look at it go down. I mean, in real estate, you know how that works. There's a market. The market is going to justify whether or not it's this valuable or that valuable. And the reality is the market is always going to be moving. Sometimes you like the movement. Sometimes you hate the movement. But the confidence level is high because for most people, we've set a plan. Actually, all people, we've set a plan. And so if we've set a plan, the first thing we're doing when we evaluate the Ukraine-Russia conflict, when we evaluate the record inflation and all these things, is we're evaluating the plan and what is the interest rate risk in the portfolio? What are the things that we need to actually make them aware of, and then evaluate and stress test that particular scenario. The other side is turning off the news. Nothing is more poisoning than watching nothing but negative news media telling you how bad everything is. I mean, I don't like going to the pump and filling up any more than anybody else. I got a brand new Tahoe. It went from $49, $52 for a fill up to $89 to $95 a fill up. It's a significant difference. And if I'm in the in the stage I was in early in my career, I would have felt that like you wouldn't believe. So I have empathy for all that stuff, but I also, in every challenge comes an opportunity. So we're focused on where the opportunity lies and watching the trends and seeing where we think we may be able to find opportunity in those areas of challenge.
Scott, I love having you on today. I mean, this has been phenomenal. And what I love is that your advice carries over into so many other industries. The things that you're doing are things that are so applicable in other industries besides the financial planning space. Everything with expansion, with how you treat your customers, with active listening, to how you're using social and others to grow, to roll-ups, to acquiring. I mean, there's so many of these things that are applicable, and a lot of really good advice to the actual advisor and the advisor level as well. But we just scratched the surface. So where can everybody go that's watching and listening to be able to learn more, to potentially break in, to become a financial advisor? Maybe they're interested in selling their financial advisor firm. Maybe they're just interested in having you guys actually represent them, so they have peace of mind. Where can they go to get more info?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find me is just my name, scottdanner.com. And at scottdanner.com, that is really where you'll find the consulting, the coaching, the book. So you can get the book at Freedom Street anywhere on major platforms. It's on Audible. It's on Amazon. My wife had it delivered on Target when it came out. It's really a good way to find us. And the company's name is Freedom Street Partners. And so looking at the company, evaluating, where you're at in that space, we are coaching and consulting a lot of practices and helping them even position themselves. So in the book, we talk about creating a rich life, living a legacy, and owning the future. And the reason we talk about that is because without the two things of creating a rich life and living that legacy, the future is tough to own. So we're helping people figure those things out. And I think if you just go to scottdanner.com, it's the best way to find us.
You made your wife buy the book?
I did not make her. She chose to. In fact, it came 6 days later from Target. And I was like, you ordered
I would
the
think
book
you could have
from
got her a
Target?
free copy or something.
I know. We had the free copies.
Advantage.
You don't know if anyone's going to buy it, Ty, when you first release it. You've launched a book. You know how this goes. You got it. You need everybody and anybody you know to get it. And so she was just doing her wonderful duty, supporting her husband. I'm very grateful to my wife.
Did she leave you a good review at least?
She did love the book. Yes. She loved
Scott,
the
I've
book.
loved having you on, man. It's been awesome talking with you today before we started the interview and during it as well.
Cool, man. I'm so grateful to be on here. And Ty, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to connecting with you in the future.
Yeah, same here. And listen, if you're watching and listening to this, we literally just scratched the surface. There's so many things we could go with this, from, having representation and having a financial planner that actually knows what they're doing, and that gives you the peace of mind to safely manage your money. And at the same time, being able to break into this industry, to expand in this industry. There's so many more things to learn. So the next actions to take, first of all, go right to Scott's website. It's scottdanner.com. Website's packed full of a lot of great stuff, resources, blog. You can learn more about coaching, speaking. You can be able to get Scott's book there as well. And then you also want to check out freedomstreetpartners.com. freedomstreetpartners.com, equally really good quality information, but a lot about, from the client perspective, on the financial services side. So if you're interested in breaking into the industry, expanding, growing, then you definitely want to check out scottdanner.com. If you're interested in having really solid representation, to be able to make sure that your money grows and that you're safe and secure there, make sure you go to freedomstreetpartners.com and be able to tap into the abundance of resources available both places. And don't forget to grab Scott's book. And when you grab Scott's book and read it, and it's phenomenal, make sure that you come through and leave him a really positive review as well. That helps him help more people. And that's what we're all here to do as entrepreneurs. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you visit scottdanner.com and make sure you visit freedomstreetpartners.com. I'll put both of those links on the show resources page as well. Again, thanks for tuning in.